Right, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the scary stuff about AI, and then I'm going to run you through a good framework. When I added this, which is your obligatory AI-generated picture, I thought, robots taking over the world, that's hilarious. I work in legal, so the question is, what scares me about AI? I joined the AI working group at Pax8 about 12 months ago. It could have been less, it moves so fast. And really, that was just a massive geek session on all things to be with AI. And it was all about the models and everything. And to be honest, what we heard these last couple of days is the opportunities with AI are exponential. And it's quite overwhelming. So I'm there thinking, there's a lot to think about. Every jurisdiction is coming up with its own way to tackle AI and how it's going to legislate around it. That's pretty scary to me. But really, the two things that scare me most are that we spend a lot of time and resource building some amazing functionality, only to have to rip it all down because it doesn't comply with any of the legislation or it hasn't been built in a responsible way. But just as scary as that is not doing anything because we're afraid of those things and we don't get to enjoy the benefits and opportunities that AI brings and we get left behind. So I did what any decent lawyer would do, and I went and did my investigating. EU AI Act, which is expected to be the template that the world follows, much like the GDPR. And what became apparent to me is that an AI compliance framework looks and feels a lot like a privacy compliance program. Hands up if you implemented the GDPR when it came. Anyone in this room? Yeah, right? Scary. It was a lot to do, a hell of a lot of work, but we did it. And guess what? All of that work that we did has put us in a really great position to be ready for AI. Leadership and oversight. If you do not already have a single person or team that's responsible for AI in your business, you need to appoint them now. You need them to have oversight of everything going on with AI so that somebody's got that coin of truth in the company. It's vital. That person or team then needs to think about that AI vision. I was going to dig into this more, but I feel like we've had so much visionary stuff for these last 2 days. You kind of know there's a lot of opportunities. The EU Act really thinks about this in a hierarchy of risk, right? This is about applying your risk profile to your use cases. So at the bottom is that pre-approved, feel pretty comfortable about this, it's low stakes, it's easy. For us, that's probably Copilot. We've implemented that, we use it all the time. It's an easy pre-approved use case. At the top is the opposite end of the spectrum. That's the stuff that you will never do because it just doesn't fit your business model. That might be making hiring decisions based on AI. We've heard a lot about bias that is built into these systems. It might be social scoring. That's what the EU Act says you can't do, social scoring. It could be whatever it needs to be for your business. I think most of us operate within the bounds of what's deemed acceptable by the EU Act, but it's just worth you thinking about. And then in the middle, it's all the wonderful things you can do in between. I joined Andy Reglin's session earlier, or having a strategy around AI. And really it's thinking about a more refined way of how you want to embrace it in your business based on business need and use cases. So you're kind of slimming down the scope of what you can do so that you can really focus your business on the things that are going to drive change. For me, security and AI is all about data access controls and data classification. Double down on those things, they will save you a lot of pain. But they're the two most important things I would say from a security perspective. But everything you're already doing to keep your business secure and your customers secure is going to cover you for AI. You have to have a record of processing under the GDPR, right? It's a requirement, you have to have it. So what you need to be doing, and this was probably for those of us that implemented GDPR, this was the hardest thing because you had to look back at all of your uses of data and keep a record of it. So if you've already got that record, it's reviewing the record you've got, asking a few more questions. Does this process include AI? If so, what model did it use? What are the expected outcomes? So you're just updating the record you've already got to have this on your record. One thing to call out here is a lot of the tools and processes you already pick in are enabling functionality, and you may not know that that's happening. Make sure that's included and covered. It's so important. This is going to be one of the baseline requirements under legislation, is having a record of what you've got. That was all the hard bit. The rest is just writing it down on paper. The rest is just having a record to say that you have done it and put it in a policy. That will mean different things to different sized businesses. It could mean updating your existing policies with AI wording to make sure that it incorporates AI use cases. Or you might decide you want a separate AI governance policy or an ethics statement. Training and awareness, we talk a lot about AI and the different use cases, and I think you've really got to embrace the compliance side with it and put those guardrails up. So get your business excited about it, get your customers excited about it, but give them the guardrails When I shared this framework or principles of this framework to the AI working group, they were delighted because it meant that they had this ability to be creative, but within the guardrails of what felt safe. It actually encouraged innovation. It didn't stifle it to have these guardrails up. So be transparent in the business about it. With all the privacy notices, should have, I'm questioning all of you now if you've got a privacy notice. Transparency is really key. So that means updating your current privacy notice to cover AI, or you might have a separate AI notice. At Pax8, you heard Rob Breck talk yesterday about how we're so keen to build trust with you guys, with your customers. So we are taking a position that we want to be as transparent as possible about how we use AI. We've got a section on our trust center that does exactly that. For me, the biggest thing about this is it's not having an AI system pretending to be human. We used to talk about that a lot, right? We're not tricking anybody. This is about understanding that AI can be very helpful, very useful to getting where you need to be quicker, but still having humans in the background to do the things that we need to do to support it. So it's not about tricking anyone into when you are and are not using AI. Be super transparent about it. And then lastly, monitor, review and update. All those crazy bits of legislation that are slowly coming to force over the coming couple of years. Be aware of your industry, be aware of the jurisdiction you're in and what's going to apply to you and your customers, and just keep an eye on it. As these things crop up, make sure what you're doing is ticking those boxes. What I've set out here is the groundwork, is the foundations, and it should be everything you need. So as legislation comes in, you'll be like, yeah, I know where that is, I know where to find that. And it's putting just little tweaks and levers to make sure you comply. Really that simple. So this is it in a nutshell. Really super simple program.